The new projected path takes the storm's eye over the nearby Pearl River.
Could actually push water against the levees.
We're going to do what it takes to move as many people out of here as possible.
We coming for you!
This is the only way you can get around right now. They're not sure what caused this fire.
We're back down here in St. Bernard Parish.
There's no dignity there, no humanity there.
This is what you see on every house. Right now I'm standing over the twin spans.
We're on the ground here in the lower ninth.
We're in Gentilly.
It's another chapter in my life. We're on the WDSU Regional Network.
Following a developing story out of New Orleans.
Mr. Mayor, why won't you answer any questions?
Broadcasting in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Houston, Jackson, and Monroe.
Government is too slow.
FEMA idiots.
Just ready to come home. There's nothing like home.
Reporting in Baton Rouge. Reporting from above St. Tammany Parish. Reporting from downtown New Orleans.
Slowly but surely, the city of New Orleans is coming back to life.
You're watching WDSU New Orleans News Channel 6.
Southern University's Baton Rouge campus is still home to more than 300 evacuees, and a number of campus organizations have really stepped up to help out. Of course, their motto there is treat evacuees like they were family.
It's a good motto to have. WDSU News Channel 6 reporter Devin Feely shows us how one sorority is helping out.
I'm on the campus of Southern University, where they are still housing 6 weeks after Hurricane Katrina made landfall in Louisiana, more than 300 evacuees from that storm. We are now in the house of sorority Delta Sigma Theta, where they're every weekend, every Saturday and Sunday, they provide breakfasts and dinners for dozens, if not hundreds, of these people that have been displaced by this storm. We're joined by some of the women that are part of this organization. Let me just ask you, why did you think it was important for you guys to step forward and help these people out?
Our organization was founded on the belief that we are a public service organization. As such, then, we believe that when there is a devastation such as what we've experienced here in the last 6 weeks, that we need to reach out to provide the services that are needed at a time like this.
We've heard so much about how this shelter at the university really could be a model for others in other parts of the city. What makes this shelter different than some of the others that we may have seen in the state and out of state?
I believe it's the people in the community, the sorority, our students here, the faculty, the staff, and they just all pitched in. It's a big family, and we consider the shelter people as a part of our family.
Let me just ask one last question. I know that you put in countless hours at the shop. Many of these people didn't leave with anything but the clothes on their backs. What have you found in terms of the last couple of weeks?
Well, they need clothing. They just need love. They really just need love. And they want to feel wanted and feel like somebody cares. And that's, I think, the most important thing. And I think we gave them the opportunity to know that somebody cares. Because we work round the clock. We try to do the best we can. And that's all they can answer. But I think they just want love.
All right. You heard it there. There are so many needs that the people that evacuated from the city need, but at the bottom they need to feel that somebody cares about them, someone is looking out for their interests. On the campus of Southern University, Devin Feely, WDSU News Channel 6.
All right, Devin, and through this we have learned that family is everything, so we appreciate their efforts. Well, a jazz funeral was held today along the streets of New Orleans in honor of well-known chef Austin Leslie. Dozens of people carrying Leslie's photo marched and danced along the streets in the 7th Ward to the sounds of a brass band. Leslie died in Atlanta last month after being rescued from his home. This, by the way, was the city's first jazz funeral since the storms.
In the New Orleans metro area, trash is everywhere. From nasty refrigerators to mold, the cleanup is a pretty disgusting task. NBC's Carl Cantanilla has more.
At this hurricane-damaged retirement home, it's Brazilians who've arrived to scrub freezers that once held rotting meat, tear up floors, and shovel drywall. The only workers manager Mike Calhoun could find.
Everybody is just overworked. They can't take on any more work.
Part of the problem of bringing New Orleans back to life. When the roof came off this building, it ruined 2 entire floors now being gutted. And the workers doing the cleanup aren't the only ones from out of town. John Morris is a machinery operator from Miami, making $22 an hour to clean debris in the city's garden district.
It's more work here. Yeah, there's lots more work here.
And this man, an illegal immigrant from Dallas who wouldn't show his face, has doubled his hourly wage by simply moving here, upsetting union officials who say New Orleans workers are being shut out.
They don't have homes, they don't have cars in some instances, and the time frame for getting them back to work could not happen quick enough.
Oh, we're getting people from out of town because the local workers, a lot of them aren't back.
For those giving up on New Orleans, like Chris Anderson, a waiter, the outlook is bleak.
There's not going to be very many jobs. I mean, if you're in construction or roofing, yeah, you'll have a job for a long time.
That is what John Morris is counting on.
I'm going to stand here and as long as I think it'll take to get it done.
A dirty job, but somebody has to do it. And as long as the money's right, somebody will. For today, Carl Quintanilla, NBC News, New Orleans.
Now, it's a daunting task to clean up homes and apartments in New Orleans right now.
Yeah, it certainly is, but if you have to be outside, hey.
At least it's a nice day.
It's a nice day.
You're right, it's a very nice day. You can see from the video right there in that story that Carl Quintanilla did, the sun's shining, and we heard from a lot of people that it is very nice in New Orleans right now.
No humidity?
First fall-like weekend in God knows how long. In fact, we haven't hit 60 degrees. We haven't hit the 60s in Kenner, or on the South Shore, I should say, in 5 months and back in May. And we actually did it this weekend. Very comfortable air. Some more cool stuff coming. We're going to start with the tropics, though, and then we'll get back to our local forecast. And I just want to talk about the busiest seasons on record, because as I mentioned at the top of the show, this is the second busiest. Again, that first busiest season back in 1933, 21 named storms. And then the third busiest back in 1995, so 10 years ago, we had 19. 1969, the year of Camille, we had 18 storms, and 17 storms way back in 1936. Just in case you're a history buff, there you have it. A look at this new system tonight. And again, we're calling this one Vince, and it's pretty clear from that picture there that it looks a lot less impressive than it did at the start of the image. But we're definitely seeing a movement off to the northeast, heading toward the Portuguese coast, the coast of Spain as well, and it does look to move inland sometime on Tuesday. The coordinates tonight, 34.5 north, 17.8 west. Movement to the northeast at 7, maximum sustained winds at 75. So it's a weak Category 1 storm, but nevertheless a hurricane. But I think it's going to fall apart quickly. In fact, be a tropical storm as soon as the next advisory. This may be a little generous here, moving into Portugal as a tropical storm with 45-mile-an-hour winds. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a tropical depression when it moves inland. Nevertheless, some wind, some rain, and just some nastiness for Portugal in Spain around midweek. Now, this is a different storm because, as I mentioned at the top of the show, it formed a little further north and east than is usual. In fact, the furthest or farthest north and east the storm has ever formed, but it's also formed over cooler waters less than 80 degrees. That's typically what's needed for tropical development or sustainment, and so therefore I think some other elements have come into play, and maybe the system isn't even entirely tropical. Temperatures of the water where it formed 74 degrees, and it's going to be over water temperatures in the 60s in the days to come. So therefore it's going to weaken pretty quickly. Temperatures outside now, 70 in Kenner, 63 in Belle Chase, 62 in Slidell. Humidity still very comfortable, 59%. The pressure's rising to 9.86, and there's no wind tonight. We do see a little moderation in temperatures back to the west tonight. Temperatures still in the 60s, 70s, even low 80s in far south Texas and parts of Mexico. So the last couple of days in the New Orleans area, we've been in the upper 70s for highs, and I think for the next several days, we'll be in the lower to the middle 80s. But winter is in full force across the Rockies tonight, and that's where we have a developing snowstorm, the first of the season. If you like to snow ski, if you've ever snowed skied, already the Rocky Mountains are starting to get some of that white stuff falling. But notice, certainly to the south, we have fall continuing and a severe weather outbreak tonight in the far western sections of Texas. Just a beautiful morning here, though. No chance of rain the way I see it right now on your Monday. Certainly cool, 54 in Covington. 20 degrees off the freezing mark in Franklinton. That's a 52, 54 in Slidell. I think we'll have 58 in Belle Chase, 59 in West Wego, Kenner, Metairie as well. The same in Harvey, and in the afternoon, 82 in Golden Meadow, 82 in West Wego, 82 in Belle Chase, maybe an 83 in Slidell and Covington. So you get the idea. We start to warm it up just a tad on your Monday, and even more so Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. All right, here's your 7-day, first through Thursday, and that period, that 4-day period, looks dry. Some more dry out time there. 85 degrees, one of the warmest ones of the week on Wednesday. And notice how the morning lows start to recover just a bit as we go through the week. Maybe a little humidity starting to creep back in, but I don't think it's going to be so strong that it'll really bother you. And then Friday, morning low temperature 70 up to 86 in the afternoon, and that's when we'll have the best chance of rain right through the next 7 days. 40% chance of showers and storms, and some of those could be strong, especially north of Lake Pontchartrain. So that's a system to watch through the week. Obviously, Vince is not going to bother us heading toward Europe, but that's just pretty incredible to have a system like that heading towards Spain.
Yeah.
Now, it's amazing that we're going to get to maybe Wilma and then the Greek alphabet. Camille was just singing her sorority song, the Greek alphabet song to me. Do you really think there's a chance that we could get to alpha, beta, gamma?
There's definitely a chance. Will we do it? I think we'll probably have Wilma. Alpha's a coin toss. So flip a coin, say, you know, alpha's heads and Nada's tails, and we'll see what happens. You know, it would just be a guess, 50-50 shot.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. Well, it's been about 6 weeks since Katrina ripped through our area, and while it will take months, perhaps even years for the region to recover, it seems that more people are getting back on their feet, and in many cases they're doing it because strangers are helping. Let's go now to NBC's Janet Shamlian with more.
An unforgettable photo, an elderly woman, a young girl. Lives torn apart by tragedy, holding on to each other.
We were so scared, but I held on to her until we got on the helicopter.
5 weeks after leaving the New Orleans Convention Center, they still have not let go.
I was scared, and that's why I hold her hand.
89-year-old Mama Nita, 5-year-old Tanisha Belvin, and her grandmother were New Orleans neighbors. They live under the same roof now, this one in Houston.
We're still together. We made it. I can't say that for a lot of people, but we made it.
But only after 2 days in the attic of their 9th Ward duplex amid rising water. 2 more without food, sleeping on a bridge. Then 4 days at the convention center, site of that now famous photo.
Their new home here is a result of that moving photo. A Houston family saw it and they decided they had to get involved.
Retirees Joe and Daisy Moore were leading a simple life, depending on this rental house for income, until a photo changed everything.
I saw a family trying to stay together, and I wanted to see if we couldn't keep them together.
They offered the house, stocked it with food and furniture, and enrolled Tanisha in school.
This is their home. This is our family. We all here. As long as they're comfortable, they stay here as long as they like.
It is an arrangement everyone considers permanent.
We got everything that we ever wanted, and we're going to stay here till we die.
Mama Nita credits the helping hands of strangers for a new start.
You're gonna break the roof.
You think so?
But knows it's Tanisha's hand that helps her hold on.
That's my little granddaughter. Not by blood, but just as good as by blood.
For today, Janet Shamlian, NBC News, Houston.
A good heartwarming story. Now turning to something heartwarming to something gut-wrenching. The Saints got whooped today in Green Bay. For more on the lowlights, let's turn things over to sports anchor Fletcher Mackel. And I tell you what, Fletcher, it's safe to say this was an ugly one.
Yeah, I think you could say it was pretty ugly. You know, if it wasn't for Hurricane Katrina, we'd be calling for Jim Haslett's job and for quarterback Aaron Brooks to be benched. But I guess they all get a reprieve since everyone's dealing with Hurricane Katrina. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. I don't know why we're wasting our time because it's all Green Bay highlights. John Carney, the kicker for the Saints, the only highlight of the day, a 33-yard field goal, 3-0 Saints. Then it's Najee Davenport, the University of Miami alum, bulldozing his way in 7-3 Green Bay. They never looked back. Aaron Brooks has just been inept. He should make every University of Virginia alum where he went to college sad. God, that was an awful pass right there. Only 146 yards. He's got 7 interceptions and 2 touchdowns this year. Then it's Davenport again. And how's about Brett Favre? The route is on. Brett Favre tosses 2 touchdown passes in the first half, another one in the second half. He finishes 19 of 27 for 215 yards. The Pack were 0-4 coming into this game. They're now 1-4. You know, sports director Rich Lenz always says, the Saints are like a magic elixir for whatever is ailing anyone. Again, they did the same thing today. The final score, 52-3. After the game, I caught up with some disgruntled Saints fans.
You can see it as time winds down. It's one of the worst losses in Saints history. With 24 seconds left, the score is Green Bay 52, the Saints 3. Right now, we're joined with longtime Saints fan Dom McGinnis. How has it been watching this disaster?
Hurtful. Totally disgraceful. If you wanted somebody to go to an 0-4 team and make them feel better, play the Saints.
After what you've been through with Katrina, you know, you're looking for a little break watching the Saints. Is this just pouring salt in the wound?
This is almost worse than Katrina. If you're really, really looking for something to be happy with, this is almost worse than the Katrina catastrophe and Rita.
I can't believe I'm actually going to say this, but with performances like this, do you hope they stay in San Antonio?
Man, I'm born and raised here. No, I really don't. I hope they come back home. I really do. I'll go tomorrow.
do you think they'll recover from a loss like this and actually salvage the season and do something for the people here in this area?
It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot. They got to look at a lot of different people, a lot of different situations. Jim Hassel's got to get serious about his coaching and everything. It's frightening right now. It really is. And they go through a lot. I feel sorry for them with the traveling and everything, but I really do. But they need to do something for New Orleans.
All right, I appreciate it. Dom, again, born and raised here as well, so I hope they do better too. Again, the final score, Green Bay 52, the Saints 3. It was the second worst loss in franchise history. Now let's take a look at the guy that should be playing quarterback for the Saints. There he is, Jake Delhomme, the second Cajun cannon behind Bobby Hebert. Right there he finds Steve Smith. Jake finishes 18 of 29 for 243 yards and 2 touchdowns, and boy is he clutch. Carolina loses the lead against Arizona, but here's Jake in the fourth quarter, another touchdown to Smith. Carolina over Arizona, the final score, 24-20. And a little baseball right now for you. NL Division Series, Astros and Braves. Roger Clemens comes in the 17th inning. This is the longest game in Major League Baseball playoff history. And how's about Chris Burke right there, the former Zephyr? He was playing at the Shrine on Airline last year. He ends it, a walk-off home run in the bottom of the 18th inning. It'll be Houston and St. Louis, a rematch of last year's NLCS. So Chris Burke is the hero as the Astros defeat the Braves. The final score, 7-6. The Hornets play their first preseason game, Travers, on Thursday night in Oklahoma City against the Sacramento Kings. The Saints are now 2-3 overall. Thanks a lot. Weekend sports anchor Fletcher Mackel live in the newsroom.
Well, the city of New Orleans will reinstate fees on towed vehicles starting tomorrow. Vehicles may not park in restricted or no parking zones and cannot block intersections. All vehicles will be towed to the city's lot there on Claiborne Avenue. Legal parking off-street, if possible, is necessary to facilitate street cleaning and to make sure that traffic moves smoothly. Well, we want to go now back to our big local story. It's another blow to the troubled New Orleans Police Department. Officers were caught on tape beating a 64-year-old man in the French Quarter while another officer attacks a journalist. Let's go now to anchor Ken Jones, who's in the newsroom. Ken?
Yeah, Camille, it was incredible to see this video, and we've got to show it to you again because to see this 64-year-old man beaten is just unbelievable. We have that videotape once again. This is the French Quarter. Actually, this is just after the officers had punched this gentleman 4 times in the face as they were trying to handcuff him against the wall on Bourbon Street. That's Bourbon and Conti around 1:30 last night. They then wrestled him to the ground. Now, according to NOPD leaders, they say he resisted arrest, and that precipitated this that you see here, saying he's not cooperating. However, you have to wonder, you know, how many guys did it take to take a 64-year-old man down? And you can see the officer standing over his head, still punching him right there again to get him to comply. Now, the police tell us that he was pepper sprayed at first. Oh, and this is the other situation. Officer Sergeant Smith, if you will, grabbing a producer for the Associated Press when that producer tried to ask him a question. He just pretty much assaulted him. According to the NOPD brass, he, like the other officers who beat that 64-year-old man, are under suspension without pay and are facing criminal charges at this point. So again, the police are telling us they have zero tolerance for this sort of action, and they will take care of any officer, deal with any officer who treats a member of the public this way. Travers, Camille, let me send it back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you, Ken. It certainly is shocking every time we see that video. Thanks.
We will have much more on that story tomorrow morning when our next newscast begins at 5 o'clock with Helena, Roop, and Margaret Orr.
I'm Camille Whitworth, along with Travers Mackel and Dan Thomas. We certainly hope you have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Coverage of life after the storm continues here on WDSU News Channel 6.
To help your life after the storm, WDSU found answers to the questions you want answered most. You want to know how to clean mold from your home, wear eye protection, rubber gloves, and clothing that you can quickly wash afterward, and open the windows. You may have to throw out soft surfaces with mold like clothes, carpets, pads, and insulation. For mold on hard surfaces, experts say clean, disinfect, and dry. To clean, scrub all surfaces with a non-ammonia detergent and hot water. Then rinse with clean water. To disinfect, use 1 part bleach to 10 parts water. That's 1 or 2 cups of bleach per gallon of water. You can use a garden sprayer or a sponge. Be sure to wet the floors, studs, and wall cavities thoroughly. After removing any excess bleach with a wet, dry vac, be sure to allow the bleach solution to dry naturally for 6 to 8 hours. And remember, never mix bleach and ammonia. Helping you with life after the storm. WDSU News Channel 6.